Howdy folks, it's Zach, and welcome back to my gaming channel. And today we're talking about Star Wars The Old Republic patch 5.7, namely Unhappy Returns, which is the quest line to go ahead and get Corso, Riggs, and Risha back into your group. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, there's not a lot of meat on this particular bone. All told, from the moment I clicked here that you saw on the screen to the moment I finished the quest was 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 30 seconds or so, 7.5 minutes worth of game time. And this is including kind of the BS kind of scavenger hunt, if you can even call it that they give you. So what was good about it? Okay, let's start with the good, we'll go to the bad, then we'll get to just the downright ugly. So the good, hey, it's Corso and Risha, two characters who I've deeply missed, especially because the only way to really see them anymore is to go back and play through the 1 through level 50 story and enjoy their company that way. There hasn't been a reintroduction of these characters in the latest expansions. So one of the big complaints about Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne is a legitimate one. They ditched all of your original companions and all the voice actors that went with them and all the relationships in favor of what I like to think of as the second season characters, who in a lot of ways were far inferior, mostly because we didn't have as much tied into them as we could. Now, for the writers, that gave them the advantage of being able to write these characters and do whatever they wanted to them without worrying about previously established story canon for each of the individual classes. But the big negative is that, hey, you don't have your love interest anymore, and hey, those guys that you invested into story-wise are just gone, and they have no way to weigh in on the story. So a few of them did show up, guys like Tano Vic, who was deeply expendable, and people like Khalil Janis, who actually is a love interest. And the thing is that this shows one of the glaring problems we have with this particular chapter, is that unlike a lot of the other love interests, Star Wars cannot decide, the devs right now, they cannot decide which ones they want to give these major story elements to, like Khalil got. She got her own chapter in a huge branch of the story in Knights of the Fallen Empire. And then there's people like Risha, who they get a cutscene. Or even worse, what happened to Ensign Temple, which is, hey, we're going to tag your cutscene at the end of this quote-unquote chapter that's actually at the end of this flashpoint that people have to do. Which I felt was a really big disservice to anybody who romanced Ensign Temple. Now, at least they got Ensign Temple back, but my light side sniper was kind of in a bind here of, so this is kind of what we get. So this is kind of where we're at. The good side is that, yes, you finally get these characters back. It's great to see them. There's a little bit of nostalgia on the trip in that the way they are luring you to them is with the use of items that remind you of the time that you guys spent together. The things that you smuggled together and the things that led you on your smuggler's trek, which is kind of fun. You're also on Nar Shaddaa, a planet that is full of smugglers. That's just kind of cool. The negative, like, let's go to the bad. The bad is that this is way too freaking short. Way too short. One of my favorite moments in Knights of the... Fallen Empire. Knights of the Fallen Empire is when you get to re-meet Vet. Where she pops back up in the story, and there's actually some weight given to the cutscenes that they have together in the middle of that chapter. It's fun. She gets to do something, which is really important, and you also, if you're a Sith warrior who romanced her, get extra dialogue options, and it's really just kind of a sweet scene. This here, it's a little nostalgic, but it's not quite as built because it's just so damn short. And it's hard to look at this as a really nice feature when it just feels... Here's my thing. I know, as an actor in Hollywood, that getting these voice actors to record some new lines, you can do this from their house if any of them have the recording equipment at their home. You know, this doesn't take a whole lot to pull these actors together wise. It really just takes some scripting and some time, and then some time on the animator side. The part that gets frustrating is just that it's so damn short, and the smuggler is one of my favorite characters. They have one of the best plot lines, and the dialogue between him and Risha, especially if you play the romance, is just really fun. So they address parts of it really quickly. It all feels a little glossed over, and you don't really get the chance to get these characters back in what feels like a very meaningful way. They don't tie to your overall narrative of your character. It's really just a side mission just to pick up these characters. And that's kind of a big frustration I've had with Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne. Now, what is downright ugly about this particular, mission, besides Corso's new jacket and outfit, is that it's, besides being short, half of it is dedicated to something that is utterly pointless, which is teleporting to Nar Shaddaa and having to click on these 3 items to further the quest chain. Oh my god. Just shoot me, man. Click on 3 things. That is the oldest, most contrived way of putting in quote-unquote mission objectives that you could possibly have at this point. And at no point did clicking on those 3 items really bring anything new to the story. It was almost like a shortcut way to try to recap. Hey, do you remember that time Skavik stole your ship? Hey, do you remember that time you had to get the head of Darth Bandit, etc.? It was just it just felt utterly pointless, and that unfortunately is the bulk of what you're doing here. Is clicking on these 3 things so that you can have one cutscene. It doesn't feel very satisfying. It feels extraordinarily tacked on, and as appreciative as I am of having Risha and Corso back into the fold, I would have appreciated a little bit more meat for something to do with them to do it. One of the things that was interesting about Bodar is that he was tied in with the Eternal Championship. So to get Bodar, you actually had to fight some guys. That actually was kind of nice. It wasn't just a freebie. Now, on the flip side, Blizz has kind of what I would consider to be kind of a herky-jerky quest, and thankfully the bounty hunters can kind of skip that. And I appreciate some of the attempts to give these guys some variety, but I wouldn't have minded having a little bit more of an in-depth mission to follow with these 2 characters, because I really did miss them both a lot on my smuggler. So that's about it. That pretty much sums up this mission. Obviously, if you're looking at the screen, you can see everything that happened and read the dialogue. I don't want to spoil it for you if you want to play it, but I just basically did spoil it for you, so hey, spoiler alert. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. So I know it's been a long time since I did my last video, but we did have a huge holiday season, and unfortunately, the fires in California were very, very close to where I lived, and I've been recovering from the fallout of that for a long time, so I've been able to really keep up with my Star Wars videos. And also, just point blank, the devs really haven't released a whole lot to do videos on when it comes to Star Wars. You basically, if you're a YouTuber like myself, you have to create your content to kind of keep up with your video schedule. So that's where we're at. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.